Robbie, men's side will go first. Wisconsin, number 1 in the Big Ten. A half a game behind them is Purdue, who just came off a big win at Indiana. You were on the call for that. In what ways did Purdue execute the game plan properly?
Well, certainly Indiana's foul trouble really played a big part in that game. And I thought that they were just, very handsy, grabby, and the refs called it tight. And Purdue lived at the foul line, and Mackenzie Mbako and Khalil Ware getting those 2 fouls in the first half really, really impacted the way the game was going. But I did think that Purdue did a really nice job of kind of playing to their game plan of letting certain guys shoot. They were going to go under Trey Galloway and make him prove that he could make some shots from 3, which in the second half he did. He really rose to the occasion and tried to bring them back. But they were going to let Gabe Cupp shoot. They were going to let Anthony Walker shoot. They were going to show multiple bodies and trap Malik Reneau, who I think is one of the most improved players in the Big Ten Conference. But once Mbako and Ware were out in foul trouble, they really had their way. And Zach Edey has he dominated the game with his size, his physicality, and the way that he just got to the foul line.
Yeah, I was watching some of the highlights from that game. Noah Eagle was on the call, and he goes, so-and-so tried to climb Mount Edey, and it didn't work out too well. Do people, what's the best way when you're on offense and Edey is go around him? Because you're not going to go over him, right?
Yeah, you've got to use your quickness and your agility because he's really improved at that. I think when he first got to Purdue, now you're talking about a kid that was ranked in the 400s in his class, which is pretty amazing considering he's about to be the back-to-back National Player of the Year. And the only people that have done that are, Ralph Sampson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Walton. You're talking about the elite bigs that we've ever seen in the men's game in college basketball. So I think, you're trying to go around him. You're trying to certainly get him off balance. But he's really come a long way in terms of his rim protection, and I think that's what's going to give him a chance to. I'm not saying it's a lock that he'll make it in the NBA, but I think that with the way he's improved, whether that's guarding in space or protecting the rim, he will get a look at the next level.
I think defense is going to come up for some of the best players in the country, right? Zach Edey. And what he can do on that end. And so many people talk about his offense, but what he can do defensively. And then Meghan, I'm sure I'm going to get into Caitlin Clark and how she's sneaky good defensively. To wrap things up on the men's side, Robbie, what is Assembly Hall like? I've never been there. I'm going to go there.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's a pretty special building, and I think that in the state of Indiana, we're very fortunate. And I say we're because I was born in Valparaiso. Very fortunate to have Mackey Arena and Assembly Hall, which I would say are 2 of the best venues in all of college basketball. I'd put Allen Fieldhouse in there. I think Cameron Indoor probably has to be in that discussion. There's a couple others, but I would feel extremely confident in saying that Mackey and Assembly Hall are 2 of the elite places to watch a college basketball game. I think back to when I was playing, and you'd come out of that tunnel, and you're 2 hours before the game starts, and it's packed. And you're getting yelled at and you're getting heckled. And Purdue, they return the favor when Indiana comes to West Lafayette. But the noise of that place, I will never forget. We played there my junior year, and we were a top 5 team, and Indiana was transitioning into the start of the Tom Crean era. So they had a freshman Jordan Holes. They had a freshman Christian Watford. Good players, but really young. And I will never forget Jordy Holes made a 3 to take the lead by 1. And it was with 5 minutes to go, and we took a timeout. And I remember thinking, it is so loud in here that I can hardly even form a thought. It is overwhelmingly loud. For big games, it is an incredible place to see a game. And we were fortunate to then go on an 8-2 run to win the game. But it is one of the really, really cool places to play and watch a college basketball game.
Sounds amazing. And I have been to Mackey, and it's nuts in there, especially when it gets packed. Yeah. I will tell you a tidbit. Iowa on the women's side during their shoot around actually had time to talk about the ban and say, hey, don't let them throw you off. We're going to try to count down and say there's 3 seconds left on the shot clock when you have 10. And it was fascinating to me that was part of the pregame prep. Don't let the Purdue ban get you out of your rhythm. I think that's the perfect segue now, Meghan, to bring you into this conversation. We start with Iowa, right? Number 1 in the Big Ten, number 2 in the entire country right now. Caitlin Clark continues to lead, and points, assists, 3-point make. What right now is at the top of your mind when it comes to the Hawkeyes and Caitlin Clark specifically?
Iowa looks like a Final Four team right now. And I'm surprised that they've come together as quickly as they have. Yes, you return Caitlin Clark, the National Player of the Year, who does so many different things, not only from a scoring perspective, but also from an assist perspective, from a rebounding perspective, from a pace of play perspective. But now you have Molly Davis stepping up and knocking down shots. You have Gabby Marshall, who's starting to get her shot back from three. Kate Martin's been consistent from day one. She's able to score in double figures. And Hannah Stolke, who's incredibly difficult to guard because at her size, 6'2", when she gets into her two-man game action with Caitlin Clark, her first two steps off the screen are so quick. It's difficult as a bigger player to try to stay in front of her. She's getting wide open layups. Iowa's been able to find balance over the course of the last couple of games, and they look like a Final Four team. I don't know anybody in the league that can stop them right now.